The 2022 Formula One season is finally on its last legs, but that doesn't mean the drama is over yet. In fact, it's far from it, since all the teams are setting the stage for next season, and everything from team secrets to new driver lineups is being revealed. In today's video, we're looking at the latest from one of the best teams on the grid, plus everything you need to know ahead of 2023. First up, this is what matters to Mercedes. The Silver Arrows have been one of the most dominant teams in the game for years now. Before Max Verstappen won the World Drivers' Championship in 2021, Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton had won 7, and the new addition George Russell wasn't doing too badly for himself either. But the 2022 season was different. For the first time since 2011, the team was set to end the season without a single victory, since neither Hamilton nor Russell had yet managed to make it to a podium. But according to the numbers, Mercedes still had a great shot at finishing second to Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, which is still a pretty big deal if they were off by a whole 70 points. When team boss Toto Wolff was asked about which outcome would be better, and given a choice between a race win or a second-place championship finish, he openly said that their priority was a win, and the logic behind it makes a lot of sense. According to Toto, a win proves that the car they made can fight for the top position, and it's in the running to get big wins. A second-place championship finish could be just because other teams didn't perform as well that year. After that fumble in Mexico City, Mercedes has gotten everything together for the team, and they aren't making any excuses for their performance. After that badly timed pit stop, Wolff says it's a learning curve, and their models just didn't predict how things would turn out. It cost them the win, but they're determined to get ahead. Next, they finally got that win they wanted. Mercedes have been having a tough season, but all that came to an end in Brazil on the weekend of the São Paulo Grand Prix. Hopes were already high on race day since Russell started from the front of the grid after winning the sprint race the day before. The race was eventful, and there was much more than just Mercedes securing their win. There were 2 safety cars, many collisions, a retirement, and much more, but the British driver had his eyes on the prize that day. He kept his teammate out of DRS range as the race drew to a close, but as he did that, he managed to get the win himself. It was officially George Russell's first ever F1 race win, and he was over the moon about it. Currently, Russell stands ahead of Hamilton in the driver's standings, leading him by 23 points ahead of the Abu Dhabi GP. Russell was insanely happy about it, saying it felt amazing and that the rest of the season has been an emotional roller coaster for him. We're sure he's not the only one who feels that way. He went on to say that while the race was tough, he managed to stay in control the whole time, and that at the end of it all, he was speechless. In fact, fans at the circuit that day actually saw him sit down after the race and choke back a few tears. It was an emotional moment for fans and Russell alike, since this was his first big victory since his almost win back at Sakir in 2020. Now that he's a confirmed race winner, he's ready to take his place with the best in the game. But could this win mean bad news for Lewis? Hamilton and Russell have been a pretty iconic duo so far, with both of them being the most talented drivers on the grid right now. The team has been consistently ranking at the top in the standings, and even their worst season in years only has them off first place by a few points. They've also always been on good terms and have a great teammate dynamic. Because of that, when Russell won in Brazil, Hamilton openly congratulated him on a job well done. But not everyone thinks it's a good thing that Russell won, at least not for Hamilton. Jenson Button, one of the 7-time champion's ex-teammates, spilled about Hamilton, saying that he wouldn't want George beating him since he wants to win every single time. He also said that if George had joined the team 5 years ago, Lewis would have been very different around him and probably not as nice. But he also added that Lewis doesn't have much to worry about, making the comparison that even though George is in his 20s and still working towards the peak of his racing career, Lewis is in his 30s and can still beat him easily. Because of that, he's pretty comfortable with his career. He went on to say that both of them are very respectful drivers, and that's a super important quality to have in Formula One, especially when you're a team that's always been at the front of the grid. Wolff also added to the conversation, saying that they're both alpha drivers, and he's happy to have them working together on the team. He even went so far as to say he doesn't want a puppy in the car. Whatever others said about the win, Lewis brought it home with a 1-2 finish for Mercedes, putting them back on the map and setting them up for a huge success next year. Their winning streak might have ended, but it looks like they're ready to start it up again come 2023. Next, here's what the future of Formula One looks like. 2023 promises to be the most supersized season of Formula One yet, with a bunch of extra races added to the calendar, where we'll see our favorite drivers compete next year. In fact, 3 new races in America alone have been added to the calendar, with one of them being the famous Las Vegas Grand Prix. The countdown to the iconic race has begun, with a launch party to hit the 1-year mark, with Hamilton, Russell, Sergio Perez, and Alex Albon all in attendance. Las Vegas is the 3rd American race on the calendar, joining Miami and Austin, and the sport has some pretty big plans for it. The races in the United States are always a big deal, such as when Miami happened and was kicked off with a bang with a pre-race party to introduce drivers and principals to fans. But the people behind the race want that same atmosphere every single weekend. F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali said that they want to create an event as huge as the Super Bowl, or at least the same mentality with fans. Unlike the Super Bowl, F1 is a super international sport, not just American, which can attract many more people. It was also apparently really hard to convince everyone to be on the strip in Las Vegas, but the CEO knows that F1 needs to start getting back to its place in American culture. After what happened in Indianapolis in 2005, F1 gained a bad rep in America, and it was only when the Circuit of the Americas came in 2012 that people were interested again. Plus, here's what this driver thinks of the new race format. F1 has been changing the way the season looks, and some people might not like it, but most drivers are super happy about it. This year, we had 3 sprint weekends, after the same last year, and we're ready to have even more next year, doubling it to 6 sprints. The 2-time world champion Verstappen hates the idea, saying that the old format is the best way to run things, with practice, qualifying, and race day, instead of messing things up with a sprint in between. But the ex-world champion Hamilton opposes that, and he thinks it's not all that bad of an idea that they're adding an extra event. With that said, he also thinks that everyone needs to be careful about where exactly they have the sprint races. He believes that the best way to decide is to look for weekends with a lot of overtakes and then add sprint races to those weekends. His personal recommendations include places like Brazil and Baku, which he believes are ideal for overtaking. He also says that he prefers the 3-day race weekend, and it doesn't look like anyone's enjoying the extended weekend from Thursday on, but it is giving us more action in one weekend. Hamilton also added that he doesn't mind the sprint as long as they're smart about picking the circuits. The driver mentioned that it wouldn't be the best idea to do it in places like Monaco, and he even added that they need to figure out something different for Monaco since all you can do there is follow the lead. That's a wrap for this video. What do you think of Russell's win? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.